And he said he doesn't care what they say. He was asked what he will do if he does not do well tomorrow.
Well, I plan to look at that I'm going to do very well tomorrow, and then it's going to be a big problem for Mondale or Hart. I prefer to look at it that way.
Jesse Jackson, according to polls, is behind all three of the front runners. Today he was in Huntsville, Alabama, where he told students at Oakwood College the three want to spend too much money on defense, and the poor and deprived must receive more attention. Tomorrow's the big day for all five of the candidates. 11 primaries and caucuses will be held tomorrow. 511 convention delegates are up for grabs. In Atlanta, Michael Kastner reporting.
The issue of school prayer will remain on the Senate floor for a little while longer. Senate Majority Leader Howard Baker says he'll let debate on a proposed constitutional amendment to permit organized prayer in public schools go on for at least another week. He said today there is no desire on the part of Senate leadership to act with great haste on the issue. Today, the chamber began its second full week of debating the measure. Baker also says he hopes the Senate can soon get around to voting on the many modifications that have been offered so far, including a proposed compromise drafted by Baker and other Senate leaders, which provides an option for silent prayer sessions. The execution of James Autry is not going to be a television program. Autry is scheduled to die by lethal injection in Texas on Wednesday. But the State Board of Corrections says it won't grant his request that the execution be televised. Autry was convicted of killing 2 people and seriously wounding another man in a convenience store holdup.
An estimated 4,000 children are killed by their parents each year in the United States. But every year, more than 1 million American children are seriously abused, either physically, emotionally, or sexually. Experts believe such abuse is increasing. That's why a congressional committee on children, youth, and families is holding hearings on how to prevent child abuse. Today, this mother told members of Congress how a group called Parents Anonymous helped her conquer her rage and stop abusing her adopted children.
Jenny says, "Mom, are you going to Parents Anonymous tonight?" I said, "Yeah, I am." She says, "Do you have to go anymore for yourself?" And I looked at this child who I had almost killed. And I turned the question back on her and asked her how she felt about it. She goes, "Well, Mom, you don't hit us anymore and you don't yell at us." She says, "Do you go to PA now so you can help other parents, so other kids don't get abused?" And I said, "Yeah, that's what I do." And this little bitty girl came up to her 6-foot-tall mom and wrapped her arms around her legs and says, "Mom, I'm really proud of you."
A man from Norfolk, Virginia chose to testify from behind this screen so he could remain anonymous.
I molested my daughter for a period of 8 years. As soon as I started admitting what I had done, it felt like the weight of the world was off my shoulders.
Doctors told this congressional committee federal money and attention is needed to help counsel abusers and to provide more protections for the victims of child abuse.
We're concerned about a handicapped child, baby Jane Doe. That's fine. We should be concerned about handicapped children. But what about the 4,000 children that die in this country that are normal children? Shouldn't they be getting the right to life as well? And yet the funds are being cut.
In Washington, Jan Smith reporting.
Members of Congress say that hearing is just the beginning of trying to correct a national problem. They are starting to work on legislation designed to prevent child abuse, to get more abusers into counseling, and to help states set up programs to protect the victims of child abuse. President Reagan says it will cost the U.S. $93 million to keep democracy alive in El Salvador. Without that money, the president says Salvadorans would not be able to pay for supplies or training to fight left-wing rebels. Reagan made those comments to a group of Republican women officials after meeting earlier today with foreign ministers of Honduras and Costa Rica. In Lebanon, fighting continues across the line dividing Beirut into Christian and Muslim sectors, leaving at least 20 people dead. But in Switzerland, 8 factions from Lebanon, both pro and anti-government, are sitting down to try to work out a solution. As that meeting opened, Lebanese President Amin Gemayel condemned a war that he said had no winners and issued a plea for a free and united Lebanon. He also said he hopes the meeting will result in a firm commitment to a ceasefire and the formation of a government of national unity. Scotland Yard, meanwhile, wants to keep a closer eye on suspected Libyan terrorists and try to prevent any more bombings like the ones this weekend in London. The head of Scotland Yard's anti-terrorist branch is scheduled to meet with police from other Western nations in Paris tomorrow. Bombings this weekend injured 26 people in London. Just tonight, police dismantled a bomb in an Arabic nightclub in London. Police say the bombings were aimed at opponents of Libya's leader, Muammar Gaddafi. The leaders of Iraq tonight say they are ready to cooperate with an investigation into charges they are using chemical weapons in their war against Iran. But Iraq claims the Iranian victims of toxic chemicals were not exposed to them on the battlefront. Doctors treating Iranian soldiers in Vienna, Austria, say at least 2 men were exposed to mustard gas or yellow rain. Both of those are banned under international law.
Oldsmobile has a new home in Indianapolis. From now on, it's Ed Martin Oldsmobile. Yes, from now on, it's Ed Martin and Oldsmobile, both respected names. Oldsmobile, the #1 seller in this market, and Ed Martin, a #1 dealer for many years, are now together in the 700 and 800 block on North Shadeland, both dedicated to staying #1. So from now on, you'll make your best deal at Ed Martin Oldsmobile, because Big Ed and we, his family of employees, will do whatever it takes to make a deal. Save you money. Why? Well, for obvious reasons. That's how we make our living. You know, pay the rent. Now, as Big Ed says, it takes 2 to make a deal. So if you don't buy from us at Ed Martin Oldsmobile, there can only be one reason. You didn't try.
Take off with Midwest Travel Academy to an exciting and secure future in travel. Midwest Travel Academy offers hands-on quality training by professionals in the travel industry. Our classrooms offer the latest in travel industry systems and pleasant surroundings. Midwest Travel Academy is fully accredited and is committed to providing the highest degree of professionalism and quality training. Financial plans and placement assistance available. People who are going places are coming to Midwest Travel Academy. Day and evening classes begin March 19th. Call 926-5657.
Weather is causing problems in Indiana, but first let's take a quick look at our 59 national radar map. There are some scattered showers in the Pacific Northwest and some pretty severe thunderstorm activity in Texas. But what's of real interest to us, of course, is what is coming our way. As we can see by the bright green patch, we're right in the middle of quite a bit of snow. The final leg of that snow is expected to pass our way in the next few hours, and that is some good news. Taking a look at today's map, spring may be just around the corner, but you'd have a hard time convincing people in the north. Bitter cold temperatures gripped cities from Minnesota to Maine. Strong winds only worsened conditions in New England, where wind chill factors dropped as low as 40 degrees below zero. For people in the southeast, things aren't too much better. Thunderstorms and freezing drizzle were reported from Texas to the Carolinas. Light rain also fell in the Pacific Northwest. The sun managed to peek out in a few places today, but for most of the nation, this was March weather at its worst. Tomorrow, the snow will move out of our area and head toward the northern Atlantic coast. Scattered snow flurries are also expected across Montana and North Dakota. The Ohio Valley and the mid-Atlantic coast will have scattered showers and thunder showers. Rain is also in the forecast again for most of the Pacific coast. Temperatures across the nation are beginning to reflect the fact that spring is just around the corner. Sunny skies and highs above 50 degrees are expected for more than half of the nation tomorrow. The only cities on our Car Trek map not under a traveler's advisory are Cincinnati and Louisville. The advisory will remain in effect throughout most of the night. Tomorrow, things will get a little better. Only Cleveland has a traveler's advisory in effect for tomorrow morning. To the north, Chicago will have cloudy skies, and there's a chance for more snow in Detroit tonight. To the east, Columbus has a chance for some morning rain, while snow and rain are expected for Cleveland. Down south, Cincinnati has a chance for some light rain early, and Louisville will have partly cloudy skies. And west of us, partly sunny skies are in store for St. Louis. Back home, looking at tonight's forecast, a traveler's advisory in effect. If you have to drive, be careful, and they're saying if you don't have to drive, don't. Snow is in the forecast, the low dropping down to 28 degrees, winds from the southwest at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow should be mostly cloudy and warmer. The high around 43 degrees, winds once again from the southwest at around 10. Tomorrow night, clearing with a low around 34. And the extended outlook for Wednesday, partly sunny, a high around 50. Thursday, warm, a chance of rain, the high in the 60s, hard to believe. And Friday, cooler, a chance for rain, the high in the 50s.
evening. Tonight's first look at sports. It was a big basketball weekend for the Hoosier State. Yesterday, Purdue's Boilermakers picked up their 16th Big Ten championship crown, tying Illinois with a 15-3 mark with a narrow 63-62 win over host Minnesota. The Boilers now 22-6, won it behind Jim Rowinski's 19 points and clutch free throw shooting in the game's final minutes. The Boilers now move into the NCAA tourney on Saturday in Memphis, the Midwest Regional, playing the winner of Memphis State, Oral Roberts. On Saturday, Indiana clinched their spot in the NCAAs with a 53-49 win over Ohio State in Bloomington. IU now 20-8 and headed to the East Regional in Charlotte, North Carolina on Saturday to face either Auburn, Richmond, or Rider. Blew a big lead of 16 points. But freshman guard Steve Alford's game-high 17 paced the Hoosiers to the victory.
While Purdue and IU were making good their postseason bids, Perry Meridian kept their tourney hopes alive, upsetting 6th-ranked Ben Davis. With a minute and a half, Steve Cox puts Perry up by a basket. Then the Giants' Darren Fish ties the game at 43-all. Now just seconds on the clock, William Ware sends Steve Cox to the line. The game is tied, and on his shoulders the hopes of his teammates, fans, and entire school. Perry Meridian, in the upset of the week, knocks down the Giants 45-43. This is Jay Chapman, 59 Headline Sports.
Now, coming up later in sports, we'll take a look at the NCAA pairings as the tournament gets underway tomorrow night. Also a look at the NIT. That includes the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. And, of course, Hoosier Hysteria now down to the Sweet 16. We'll look at the pairings for Saturday's extravaganza. That and more later when sports continues.
Worldwide couch dancing and modeling, formerly known as the Spanish Fly in Indianapolis, has closed down, at least temporarily. Couch dancing has raised some questions in the city, but officials say it could be considered a form of striptease, often leading to other illegal sexual activity. Well, the city filed and they got a temporary restraining order because of past acts of prostitution at the establishment. And a new law allows for the closings if it goes to court, though that law hasn't been tested constitutionally. And the head of the city legal department, John Ryan, says he takes exception to the fact that some say the city is losing the battle on pornography and prostitution.
I feel just the opposite, in that for the first time, I believe we are now beginning to obtain control over the spread of massage parlors and bookstores.
Well, those accusations were made because of the recent opening of an adult bookstore at Lafayette Square and other locations around Indianapolis. Jim Vincent, 59 Headline News.
A Greenwood man has been sentenced to 130 years in prison. Willie Payne Jr. pleaded guilty but mentally ill to charges of murder, confinement, and deviant behavior in the death of one of his former co-workers. Payne was accused of abducting Renee Birdsell last December and then killing her at a Bartholomew County fishing area. In Gary today, members of Project Vote tried to go to an unemployment office to register voters, but they didn't get to do their job. The head of the State Employment Security Division in Gary says the 10 people were asked to leave because the agency has a policy against registering people as they wait in line at the offices. The Washington, D.C.-based voter registration group was trying to challenge that policy. The group's attorney now says he'll try to reach an agreement with the division. Project Vote is a nonpartisan organization aimed at registering the poor and minorities. Also in Gary today, 29,000 students are still at home as the teachers' strike moves into its second week. Teachers man picket lines, but they say they're hoping for some progress in negotiations. The teachers walked out last Monday after contract talks stalled. The union wants a 9.7% pay hike, but the school board is only offering 4%.
Like it or not, the computer age is here, and probably to stay. Computers have virtually become vital to our existence. There are computers that assist in running the city by keeping records of important information. And there are even computers that react to the human voice.
Front door. Door opening. Door closing.
Sooner or later, all of us will have to become computer literate. That's what teachers from Sheridan, Indiana attempted to do today at IUPUI in a special workshop.
Do all of you have a list of information on the screen now?
Although using computers as a daily teaching tool in class is relatively new, most teachers attending the workshop think students would benefit from it.
I think it's going to reinforce the skills that we teach and be there as an aid to help us, get the skills across.
And I think it'll be beneficial for our students as they will definitely be faced with the computer age.
Learning to use computers really isn't that difficult. But one teacher says there is one basic requirement you must master before you tackle teaching with a computer.
Yeah, they're very interested if you can type. They're a lot of fun.
Sherma Wise, 59 Headline News.
Fiesta Hair Fashion's anniversary special, Pantene Perfect Transition or Collagen Perm through March 31st, just $25.99. Fiesta Salons, there's one near you.
Guarantee Auto has Purolator oil filters on sale today. You probably think we'll sell all these just because Purolator is such a good product at a great price. But that's not enough for our customers. They come to Guarantee because we're convenient and because our people have honest answers to their questions. At Guarantee, we care about quality, integrity, service, and price. We care about more than just your car.
The service department at Dan Young Chevrolet is in a class by itself in the Midwest. Bill Young has made a name for himself and for the Dan Young Service Department as the premier service facility in Indiana. And this means a great deal to you when you're buying a new car or truck, because you know the car care you get will always be dependable. In every major American city, there is one outstanding Chevrolet dealer. In Indianapolis, that dealer is Dan Young. Dan Young Chevrolet, 96th and Keystone.
You'll see the great stars that are Hollywood legends all this week on TV 59. Marlena Dietrich, Grace Kelly, Joan Crawford, Lana Turner, and Ava Gardner. Don't miss the Hollywood legends all this week on TV 59.
There's some good news for the local economy. The Metropolitan Board of Realtors reports February was another good month for Indianapolis home sales. 492 homes were sold last month, up only slightly from February of 1983. But for the year to date, 1984 home sales are running nearly 200 ahead of last year.
Do you think people will keep buying?
Yes, and the board projects that within the next 6 months things will stay the same. They are up from last year, from a year ago to this date, and we think that they will remain stable, if not better.
Schaub says mortgage rates have stabilized, and that's been a major factor in the upturn.
FHA is at 13, 13.25. Your adjustable rate mortgages are at 12, 12.5, and they aren't changing. They are staying stable in the marketplace.
One thing that concerns local realtors is the federal budget deficit. They're afraid if the deficit isn't brought under control, interest rates will skyrocket and the housing market will deteriorate. Strangely enough, the average price for an Indianapolis home has dropped nearly $3,000 in the past year. The average price is now $55,358. If you have a 1979 model Datsun 310, the Nissan Motor Company may be recalling your car to adjust a throttle valve. The EPA has requested the company recall 48,000 of the vehicles, saying misadjustment of the valve can cause the cars to exceed federal emission standards. The automaker will make the adjustment at no charge. Bucking the trend that began last July, the average price of gasoline in the U.S. has increased slightly. That's according to the latest survey by oil industry analyst Dan Lundberg, who polled about 18,000 service stations. The increase actually was very small, just 0.06 of a penny, but Lundberg calls it a market turnaround. Increased consumption and nervousness over the Iran-Iraq war are the reasons given for the hike. Well, the Justice Department is ignoring critics who say that agency should not have banned the 2 mergers of giant steel companies. Outgoing Attorney General William French Smith says his department makes decisions based only on facts and law. And he says that's the way President Reagan wants it. The Justice Department has said the mergers would violate antitrust laws. There's more good news for the recovering economy. The government says business executives plan to spend 12% more this year for modernization and expansion. That is the largest spending increase in almost 20 years. The only industry that is projecting cutbacks instead of growth is the airline industry.
Attention car owners, this is the amazing Vortex Roto Brush. Watch as it whisks away dirt, salt, tar, and grime with incredible speed and power. Look closely as water spins the bristles at hundreds of revolutions per minute. The design is so advanced that it is patent protected. The super soft bristles fan out to clean large areas in one gentle sweep. The specially designed handle angles up to clean roofs with no stretching, down to clean wheels with no bending, cleans even hard-to-reach places that rags and sponges will never get. With Roto Brush, there's no more stooping or bending, no more rubbing, no more wet, sloppy mess. Just sweep across the surface. Roto Brush does all the work. Roto Brush is really super at cleaning your van, the family camper, trucks, mobile homes, house siding, boats, trailers, lawn furniture, pools, patio. Cleans windows and screens with no stretching or straining. Roto Brush turns a messy, dirty job like this into a few seconds work. Roto Brush comes complete with detachable rotating brush, automatic soap dispensing feature, and has an adjustable water pressure valve. It all comes with a full money-back guarantee. Order now, and we'll also send you the super absorbent polishing cloth. It's yours absolutely free when you order today. Roto Brush, it's the fastest, easiest, and best way to clean your car and take care of hundreds of household jobs. It's not available in stores. Order today.
To order your complete Roto Brush kit, send just $12.95 plus $2 for postage and handling to Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana, 46206. That's $12.95 plus $2 to Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana. Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana. Delivery of your kit is guaranteed and insured by one of America's leading insurance companies. Order today.
Many adults find them a nuisance, but child-resistant safety caps on medicine bottles do save lives, particularly the lives of children under 5. A federal safety cap law took effect in 1972, and since then, accidental drug poisoning deaths have declined 60 to 65%. But State Health Commissioner Ronald Blankenbaker says adults should not get complacent. There are still problems.
It's helped a heck of a lot in terms of resolving the fact that many children aren't able to get into these medicines and use them. On the other hand, it's not perfect. One of the problems we have with child-proof containers is that the adults have difficulty opening them themselves, and so they'll take and transfer the material to a non-child-proof container.
The Indiana Poison Control Center at Wishart Hospital gets 62,000 calls a year. The head of the center, Dr. James Mallory, says most turn out not to be serious. He says usually children do not swallow enough of the drug, and often they swallow things that are non-toxic. But the potential is certainly there, and parents should be aware of some things.
The thing they should be aware of are the things that they use every day. Medicines, while very high on the list, are not our number one thing that we see. The most common thing that we see in small children is personal care products, things like shampoo, colognes, things of that nature. Then we have household cleaning products, and then plants.
Dr. Mallory suggests that dangerous items be locked away out of a child's reach. But if an accident does occur in your home, you can call the Poison Control Center 24 hours a day at 630-7351. Elsewhere in the state, you can call toll-free 1-800-382-9097. Ann Craig, 59 Headline News.
Consumer groups are afraid gains of the 1960s and 70s are being eroded by the Reagan administration, and they met in Washington recently to discuss their concerns.
Telephone deregulation is driving up the cost of local service. Automobile bumper standards aren't as tough as they used to be. A consumer guide to car buying was shelved altogether. The Federal Trade and Consumer Product Safety Commissions, agencies set up to protect consumers' rights, have both faced significant budget cuts. This consumer groups point out has all happened since the Reagan administration took power.
I think that during a period of deregulation, that one of the things that's happened is a lot of important safeguards have been lost.
The federal government is not supporting consumer regulatory agencies to the extent that they did, say, 3 and 4 years ago. And as a result, those regulatory agencies, the Federal Trade Commission, the Consumer Product Safety Commission, the Food and Drug Administration, have not been as vigorous in their enforcement of existing legislation.
And this consumer advocates claim has meant less health and safety protection. Agency budget cuts, they point out, most always seem to equal fewer safety inspectors. Consumer groups also aren't pleased with the impact of deregulation.
Our mission right now is to protect as much of the good consumer legislation and regulations that were passed in the last 15, 20 years as we can. I think we've been fairly successful.
Consumer advocates point out the results of this election year will have a lot to do with any future gains. In the meantime, they advise consumers will just have to work that much harder to protect the rights they have. I'm Andrea Fleischer in Washington.
All of us should count our blessings, but the older you get, the harder it is to count on anything, especially life insurance protection. That's why I urge you to join the thousands of others who've already called about the Adult American Security Life Plan. It's only for us folks between 45 and 75 years old, and it guarantees permanent life insurance for just $6.95 a month. You can't be turned down, there's no medical exam, and your coverage can never be canceled. Call now and you'll receive this personal security card plus secrets of financial security absolutely free. Life insurance protection for only $6.95 a month. It's one blessing we all can count on.
To get the free information package that Mike Douglas spoke of, call toll-free 1-800-453-3232. Your free information kit and financial handbook will be rushed to you with no obligation. So call 1-800-453-3232. The enrollment period is open, so call now. 1-800-453-3232.
On American Cable, you're better off because we're better on. A better value. More than 30 channels for less than $10 a month. We're the widest choice of family entertainment in Indiana. We're miniseries and family specials, and a whole channel just for kids. We're talks for teens and teachers for tots. We're the finest in family learning and family fun. Get hooked on the cable. American Cable. We're choice television. Your choice. Call 63-CABLE.
Taking a look at current weather conditions in Indianapolis, our temperature at 29 degrees, barometric pressure at 30.08 and rising. We've had 15/100ths of an inch of precipitation today, but 1.5 inches of snow, 81% humidity, wind from the east at 13 miles per hour. The high today was 30 degrees, our low got down to 13. For the record, back in 1902, 1911, and 1929, for history buffs, it got up to 69 degrees on this day. Back in 1948, however, the low was 5 below zero. On our radar, you see rain and snow blanketing the central third of Indiana. From just south of Fort Wayne to the Bloomington area, it is moving to the east. It's now a mixture of snow and freezing rain. And forecasters say the worst of the storm should be over by midnight, so there is some good news in the weather forecast. On our state map tonight, there's a traveler's advisory in effect for all but extreme southern Indiana. The snow is expected to end late tonight, but not before dumping between 2 to 4 inches of snow across the Hoosier State. Southern Indiana isn't getting out of this mess very easily either. A band of freezing rain has been reported across the southern part of the state. Across the nation tomorrow, it may be snowing in Indiana, but temperatures all over the country have taken a turn for the better. For the first time in quite a while, more than half the nation will have high temperatures above 50 degrees. Afternoon highs in the 20s and 30s are expected from Montana to New England. From the northern Pacific coast to the mid-Atlantic coast, they're expecting highs in the 40s and 50s. Temperatures in the 60s and 70s are in the forecast for the southern half of the nation. Once again, our forecast for tonight, a traveler's advisory remains in effect. If you have to drive, do so carefully. If not, stay home. Snow, it is snowing right now with some freezing rain. The low getting down to 28, winds from the southwest at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy. It will be warmer, though, a high around 43. Winds again from the southwest at 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, clearing up with a low around 34. And looking ahead to Wednesday, partly sunny, a high around 50. Thursday, warm, a chance of rain, but the high in the glorious 60s. Friday should be cooler with a chance for rain, the high in the 50s. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:59 a.m. and the sun will set at 6:50 p.m. The cold winter we've been suffering through has caused winter kill among some soft red winter wheats grown here in Indiana. Purdue University agronomists say Purdue-released varieties should be okay because they're selected for hardiness. But some varieties developed in southern states may have suffered damage or have been killed.
This is the week that could change the look of everything that surrounds you. Your trees and shrubs that now merely exist could bloom and flourish, while your lifeless lawn could become a thick velvet carpet. This week, the Davy Lawn and Tree Care experts send you their unique formula for a greener, healthier landscape, plus the chance to win up to $1,000 worth of Davy Lawn and Tree Care. Look for our mailer or look us up in the white pages today. Davy, our years of experience really show.
Take off with Midwest Travel Academy to an exciting and secure future in travel. Midwest Travel Academy offers hands-on quality training by professionals in the travel industry. Our classrooms offer the latest in travel industry systems and pleasant surroundings. Midwest Travel Academy is fully accredited and is committed to providing the highest degree of professionalism and quality training. Financial plans and placement assistance available. People who are going places are coming to Midwest Travel Academy. Day and evening classes begin March 19th. Call 926-5657.
Now's the time to own a Stuart Skillman luxury van. We're a franchise dealer representing over a dozen van companies with one of the state's largest selections of luxury vans. We at Stuart Skillman have a total availability of over 100 luxury vans for you to choose from. Vans as low as $13,900 with discounts up to $4,500. See us now for that luxury van of your choice. Stuart Skillman Discount Oldsmobile, US 31 South, just 1/2 mile north of the Greenwood Park Mall, where it just takes a second to get a second opinion.
Good evening. The latest in the saga of the Baltimore Colts and Robert Irsay may not include Indianapolis. Irsay reportedly has scheduled a second meeting with Phoenix officials as he continues to explore possibilities for the move of his franchise. Now, of course, all systems are go for the Colts to come to Indy and play in the brand new Hoosier Dome, but Irsay has not indicated his intention. Now, Maryland Governor Harry Hughes says that his state has made a final offer to Irsay. He says Irsay is interested in a 2-point financial package that matches our offer, a $15 million low-interest loan and funding to buy and refurbish the team's training camp. Thus, it appears 3 cities are now in the running, and the waiting game continues at least until the NFL meeting in Honolulu late in the week. Well, it is NCAA tourney time. The 53-team get-together starts tomorrow night with 5 games that will pair the field of 48 teams for the weekend. Early in sports, we talked about Purdue and Indiana. The Boilermakers, Big Ten co-champs with Illinois, picked up the number 3 seed in the Midwest Regional. They'll begin play Saturday in Memphis against either Memphis State or Oral Roberts. The Tigers are tough and led by big center Keith Lee. It could be tough for the Boilers of Gene Cady to down MSU on their home floor. Meanwhile, Indiana is the 4th seed in the East Regional. They'll play Saturday in Charlotte, North Carolina against either Auburn, Rider, or Richmond. The Hoosiers are usually tough in the tourney, but of course are very young. The logical opponent is Auburn. 49-47 losers to Kentucky in the final of the SEC tournament. Talking Kentucky, they are the top seed in the Mid-East Regional, and the 26-4 Cats have to be the favorite because they'll play on their home floor. That is Rupp Arena. Auburn 20-10, Kentucky 26-4. Out west, traditionally weak regional is bolstered by the Big East Georgetown. The Hoyas are the number 1 seed with their biggest challenge coming from Wayman Tisdale and the Sooners of Oklahoma. There's Wayman Tisdale with the slam dunk. Now in the East where IU will be, it's the Tar Heels of North Carolina holding down number 1, but it is a tough regional. It includes Syracuse, Arkansas, Temple, and St. John's. And finally in the Midwest, DePaul's Blue Demons join Purdue as the number 1 seed. They'll try to win the crown for the departing Raymeyer, but they'll have to contend with last year's runner-up Houston in regional play at St. Louis. The National Invitation Tournament also gets underway this week. The 32-team tourney gets underway Wednesday with 6 games. The field includes both teams shown here, Notre Dame and Marquette. The Fighting Irish are in the NIT for the 2nd straight year. The Irish host Old Dominion on Wednesday in South Bend. The field also includes Michigan and Ohio State from the Big Ten, Xavier from the Midwestern cities, and defending NCAA champion North Carolina State. Earlier, we took a look at Perry Meridian's win over Ben Davis for the Hinkle Regional Crown. The Falcons are one of 16 teams entering weekend semi-state play at 4 sites across the Hoosier State. A look at the pairings for Saturday's action. At Hinkle in Game 1, the Bulldogs of Columbus North and Greensburg will hold a rematch. And in Game 2, a couple of surprises. Perry Meridian and Newcastle will get together. At Lafayette, Anderson's Indians, 24-1, fresh off a big win over Noblesville, will battle Gary Winter Lake Central, and Lebanon will make their 2nd straight appearance at Mackey Arena when they battle the Broncos of Lafayette Jeff. At Fort Wayne, Marion and Michigan City Rogers met in December in the Hall of Fame Classic. The unbeaten Rogers won. The 2 clubs meet again, and Warsaw will batter Fort Wayne Elmhurst. And finally at Terre Haute, 1981 state champ Vincent will take on first-time regional winner Northeast Du Bois in Game 1, and Terre Haute South is paired with Floyd Central. The Pacers returned home from their 6-game West Coast road trip yesterday with just 1 victory under their belt, but it was a big one. The Pacers won their first game ever over the Lakers in Los Angeles Saturday night with a 126-114 win. But the club cannot savor that victory long. The club faces defending NBA champ Philadelphia tomorrow night at Market Square Arena. Now, there are no games scheduled in the league tonight, and it's a good time to look at the standings and playoff possibilities. Now, 16 teams will advance, the 2 divisional winners in each conference, and the next 6 teams. In the Atlantic Division, Boston leads Philadelphia, and the Celts are the only team to have a playoff position locked up. They lead the 76ers by 9.5, but all 5 teams at this point would make the playoffs, a tough division. Now in the Central, one day, Detroit leads. The next it's Milwaukee. The only other team over 500 is Atlanta. They would all make the playoffs. Now Chicago, Cleveland, and our Pacers appear to have no chance. In the Western Conference Midwest Division, surprise teams Dallas and Utah are the class of this division that also houses San Antonio. The high-scoring Denver Nuggets are hot, and Ralph and the Rockets the bottom four. Now these clubs have been very disappointing, but one of them will make the playoffs with the Mavs and Jazz. And finally, in the Pacific, LA and Portland battle for the lead, but at this point, Seattle, Phoenix, and Joe Barry Carroll-led Golden State, all of them would make the playoffs. More news from the NBA. The USFL has been signing athletes to big contracts. Today, the Detroit Pistons signed former IU guard Isaiah Thomas to what amounts to a lifetime contract. It's a 10-year pact, but the Pistons are not disclosing the amount or the terms. It's a big step for the Pistons, but Thomas leads the Pistons in scoring, and he's the catalyst for what happens on the floor. It's amazing. Thomas, just 22 years old, he'll now be with the Pistons until he's 34 years of age. The Checkers split a weekend series with CHL leading Colorado over the weekend, winning on Friday 11-3 and losing to the Flames 4-2 Saturday. The Czechs currently 30-34-2 on the year. They're in third place in the CHL, 9 points behind the Oilers. The Czechs host the Montana Magic Friday and Saturday nights at the Coliseum. Now in the National Hockey League tonight, just 2 games scheduled. Winnipeg and Toronto were tied in the third period 6-6, and Montreal leads Minnesota in the second period 6-2. A couple of other sports notes. Indiana's Steve Alford and Jim Rowinski of Purdue have been selected to the 1984 AP All-Big Ten team. Ohio State's Tony Campbell is a repeat from last year, also joined by Corey Blackwell of Wisconsin, Bruce Douglas of Illinois. Alford is the first freshman to make the All-Big Ten team since another Indiana sensation, Isaiah Thomas, made it in 1980. And finally in sports, the DePaul Tigers have advanced to the NCAA Division III basketball tournament finals this weekend in Grand Rapids, Michigan. The Tigers 24-4 won their 23rd straight home game Saturday night in defeating Lemoyne Owen 98-49. Now the Tigers will seek to become the second Indiana team in 3 years to win that championship. Wabash won that title in 1982. And that is a look at sports on a Monday night.
Attention car owners, this is the amazing Vortex Roto Brush. Watch as it whisks away dirt, salt, tar, and grime with incredible speed and power. Look closely as water spins the bristles at hundreds of revolutions per minute. The design is so advanced that it is patent protected. The super soft bristles fan out to clean large areas in one gentle sweep. The specially designed handle angles up to clean roofs with no stretching, down to clean wheels with no bending, cleans even hard-to-reach places that rags and sponges will never get. With Roto Brush, there's no more stooping or bending, no more rubbing, no more wet, sloppy mess. Just sweep across the surface. Roto Brush does all the work. Roto Brush is really super at cleaning your van, the family camper, trucks, mobile homes, house siding, boats, trailers, lawn furniture, pools, patio. Cleans windows and screens with no stretching or straining. Roto Brush turns a messy, dirty job like this into a few seconds' work. Roto Brush comes complete with detachable rotating brush, automatic soap dispensing feature, and has an adjustable water pressure valve. It all comes with a full money-back guarantee. Order now, and we'll also send you the super absorbent polishing cloth. It's yours absolutely free when you order today. Roto Brush, it's the fastest, easiest, and best way to clean your car and take care of hundreds of household jobs. It's not available in stores. Order today.
To order your complete Roto Brush kit, send just $12.95 plus $2 for postage and handling to Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana 46206. That's $12.95 plus $2 to Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana. Roto Brush, Box 1590, Indianapolis, Indiana. Delivery of your kit is guaranteed and insured by one of America's leading insurance companies. Order today.
Washington Monument, that monolith of Maryland marble standing as proud and as upright as the founding father himself, is sinking into the swampland on which it was built. The Capitol is also sinking, as are the White House and other major public buildings. That's because much of Washington is built on a swamp.
a fact that has led to numerous analogies and a number of forgettable jokes. This is not the first of the troubles that the redoubtable monument has faced. Construction on it was halted before the Civil War, and it stood ragged and unfinished for almost 25 years. Since 1923, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration has been checking to see how quickly it's sinking. Actually, they prefer the term settling. And by 1971, they determined that the monument was being drawn into the earth at the rate of nearly an inch a century, which means that within a mere 666,000 years, it will have sunk from sight. As if that weren't alarming enough, it seems that the markers that enabled the surveyors to make such computations disappeared in 1974. They were attached to a granite step, which had to be replaced by a wheelchair ramp, and, well, somebody lost the step.
That's right. We've lost our contact with the past when the benchmark was destroyed, and that was in the base of the monument.
Of course, the federal government isn't going to stand still for something like that. So today, a mere 10 years after the markers disappeared, a survey team was taking readings in order to put in new markers. The monument's elevator was also out of order. That was alleged to be coincidence. Susan Clark on the grounds of the Washington Monument.
The YMCA of Greater Indianapolis is now 130 years old. The event was marked tonight with awards and a dinner in Indianapolis. The YMCA was founded here on December 19, 1854. Special guest speaker tonight was Donald Lash, a winner of the Sullivan Award in 1938 and a member of the 1936 Olympic team. Among track records, Lash was a national cross-country champion 7 years in a row. We asked him how yesterday's sporting events compare with today's. Here's what he said.
We had to run on cinder tracks with long spikes. And today, of course, I'll say the boys are better too. But on the other hand, they have better facilities by far than what we had when I was young.
The Greater Indianapolis YMCA serves Hoosiers in an 8-county area. In January, Jane Landenberg of Bedford, New York, began getting calls from operators all around the nation. The operators were calling to ask her to approve credit card calls to places like Libya and Japan. She told the phone company to cancel her credit card number, but for some reason it was delayed, and the calls continued. The bill for more than $109,000 arrived by truck. The phone company has agreed to take the illicit calls off of her bill while it tries to find out who made them. And now recapping tonight's top stories, snow is supposed to fall throughout the night in central Indiana. A traveler's advisory is in effect for all but the extreme southern portion of our state. We're expected to get about 2 to 4 inches of snow here in central Indiana and in the northern part of the state. But the weather is supposed to warm up by the end of the week. And Democratic presidential hopefuls are doing some final campaigning before tomorrow's Super Tuesday primaries. Gary Hart and Walter Mondale both stopped in all three southern states that will be holding primaries tomorrow. And the latest polls show it's basically a race between Mondale and Hart, but the other contenders are hoping to win some last-minute support. That's it for tonight from 59 Headline News. Thank you so much for your company, and stay tuned next for Benny Hill. For Chris Denari, I'm Ken Owen. Hope you have a great night.